in the derivative segment, there are a lot of instruments that we are talking of. When I say a lot of instruments, we are aware of some of them, like it may be a future, it may be a forward, it may be a option. Options, maybe we have call option, put option, swaps, then we have swaptions. So we'll start with a very basic thing required, which is required for understanding any derivative instrument. So the basic thing that we are talking of, which we need to understand, is first of the time value of money. I hope, are you aware of the concept of time value of money? Are you aware of the concept of time value of money? Concept which is present value hota, future value hota. Unless and until we get a basic idea about it, we cannot go ahead with valuation of any of the derivatives, be it futures, be it options, uh, or maybe swaps. So wherever this concept of time value of money is the heart of the entire derivatives, entire risk management part. So when I say time value of money, we need to understand how do we calculate the present value, how do we calculate the future value, and maybe then understanding some of the concepts like annuity, multiple uneven cash flows, so on and so forth. So keeping the things simple, suppose we start with the compound interest formula directly. Start with the compound interest formula. We know that compound interest, in compound interest, that amount A is uh, simply P into 1 plus R raised to N. P into 1 plus R raised to N. So we are aware about it. A is simply P is equal to 1 plus R raised to N. What is A? What is P? What is R? And what's N? Hmm. What is amount? What's principal? A is the cumulated value or cumulated amount, we can say. Then P is principal. Okay. Then R, we know it is the rate of interest. N is number of time period, I call it as. Instead of saying number of years, I call it as number of time periods. Okay. So cumulated amount, principal, rate of interest, and number of time period. Now out of these things, amount, principal, and 1 plus R raised to N किया, amount और principal इन दोनों में से, I'm talking specifically out of amount and principal. Tell me which one is the thing that happens today and which one is the thing that happens in future. Which one is the thing that happens today and which one is the thing that happens in the future. Exactly. So accumulated value happens in the future and P is something which happens today. So we are aware of it that this is something happening in future and this is something which is happening in present, or I can say amount, since it happens in future, futures, that's a future value. P is the present value. So essentially I can say that my future value should be present value into 1 plus R raised to N, and that means my present value should be future value divided by 1 plus R raised to N. So my present value should be future value divided by 1 plus R raised to N. Taking it a bit ahead now for further discussion. So suppose if I deposit 10,000, I deposit 10,000 for 5 years at, let's say, 10%. So we know that our future value will be 10,000 into 1.1, because 1 plus 10%, so that is 1.1. 10,000 into 1.1 raised to 5. 10,000 into 1.1 raised to 5. So how much is this value? फ्यूचर वैल्यू कितना होता है इसका? 10,000 आज अगर डिपॉजिट करेगा एंड एवरी ईयर अगर 10% इंक्रीज होता, सो व्हाट विल बी द फ्यूचर वैल्यू ऑफ इट? कैन यू कैलकुलेट इट? 1610.1 छोड़ दे, कीप द चेंज. तो 16,105 is the future value of it. So essentially we can say 16,105, this is future value of 10,000 present value. So 10,000 अगर आपका present value है तो future value will be 16,105. Okay, now over here if I say, in this case if I say a bit of change in the rate of interest, I just tell you that this is rate of interest is 10% per annum, but this is compounded, let's say, half yearly. If I say it is compounded half yearly, then how is my presentation of formula going to change? My future value will be equal to what? तो 10,000 इंटू क्या करूं मैं? 10,000 इंटू 1.05. okay, 10,000 into 1.05 to the power of 10, right? Because as I've told you, the formula over here, it says that A is equivalent to P is equal to rate of interest and N is the number of time period. So here, since it is compounded half yearly during a period of 5 years, since it is compounded half yearly during a period of 5 years, uh, tell me how many times or what is the time period for which the compounding happens? Definitely if it is half yearly, so 5 years maybe we have 10 half years, so therefore accordingly my answer is going to be this one. So what's the future value of this? What's the answer for this? Yep, 10,000 into 1.05 raised to 10. Bolo bolo. 16,288. Okay, 16,288. The future value if I compound it half yearly. Now, if I go ahead with let's say compounding quarterly, so my future value formula will be, can I say 10,000 into 1 point, कितना होगा 10,000 into 1.025 to the power of 20, right? So what is this value going to be? 10,000 into 1.025 raised to 20. 16,386. Okay. When we did compounded half yearly, here we compounded it twice in a year. This compound, we just compounded it twice in a year, whereas here we compounded it 4 times in a year. So basically अगर मैं फॉर्मूला देखूंगा, my future value का फॉर्मूला was principal into 1 plus जो अपना R था, R was rate of interest per annum, so 1 plus R upon 5 किया, मतलब we just divided it by 2 raised to number of terms जो भी था उसको into 2 किया. If it is quarterly compounding, then it goes as principal into 1 plus R by 4 to the power of n by 4, where we are, over here we are fixing R as rate of interest per annum, and n we are taking it as, let's say, number of years. Acha, what will be the formula if I want to compound it every day? If you want to compound it every day, what will be the formula? P into, what will be the formula? P into 1 plus R by 365 raised to n into 365. And what can you say about larger the number of times, or I can say more frequent the compounding is, can I say आपका future value या फिर maturity value is also going to be higher, right? So if we say compounded every day, this works out to be this typical formula. This is P into 1 plus R upon 365 raised to n into 365. Acha, how about if I say it is compounded infinitely? If I say it is compounded infinitely, if I say that it's compounded infinitely, how will you express the future value ka formula as? How will you express the future value formula? If I say it's compounded infinitely, infinite times, or I can say every second it is compounded. It is something like this: P into 1 plus R upon infinity raised to n into infinity. Can I write it like this? Yes or no? R divided by infinity अगर आप लिखते हो, if you write R divided by infinity, anything divided by infinity, what's the answer? Anything divided by infinity is infinity. Basic maths है. If you say a divided by 0 is infinity, so a divided by infinity has to be 0. So फिर तो आपका rate of interest तो it's like r upon infinity, मतलब ये तो 0 हो गया सर. So instead of writing this, I can simply write it as in a limits form, where I say it is not infinity, but it is approaching to infinity. So I can write this as limit as, h tends to infinity, p into 1 plus r upon h, the whole raised to n into h. Can I write it like this? Okay. अब क्वेश्चन ये उठता है कि इसका फॉर्मूला, और आई कैन से इसका लिमिट्स का आंसर क्या होगा. कैन यू सॉल्व दिस लिमिट एंड गेट एन आंसर? Because trust me, the answer that we are going to do, or that we are going to get over here, that's a very very golden formula in the derivatives valuation. Can you solve this limit? Can anyone solve this limit? We have to simply use, so I'll give you the answer. The answer should be 3 into e raised to r n. This should be the answer. So what we are supposed to do is, let me just give you the derivation downside over here for you. So we have limit as h tends to infinity P into 1 plus R upon H the whole raised to N by H. Um, if you could remember, we have a formula. Yeah, क्या hmm. So if you could remember the formula, limit as x tends to 0, 1 plus x the whole raised to 1 upon, this was just e, na? It was simply e, right? So something of that sort we are going to do. So we'll just change the limit. So we'll say let 1 upon h is equal to x. So this implies h will be 1 upon x, and if I change it, so this becomes limit as x tends to 0, right? We say since h is tending to infinity, therefore 1 upon h should tend to 0. 1 upon h should tend to 0. So limit as x tends to 0, we say limit as x tends to 0, that's p into 1 plus rx, 1 upon h will become x, the whole raised to n into 1 upon x. So that's limit as x tends to 0, p into 1 plus rx raised to n by x. Now remember, we want expression of this form where we have over here x, and in the power it should be reciprocal of x. So we say limit as x tends to 0, p into 1 plus rx raised to 1 upon x लिया, and इसके बाहर मैंने n लिख लिया, and then we have limit as x tends to 0, p into 1 plus rx raised to 1 upon x है, whole raised to n है, but remember what we need over here is that I need to solve it. Either अगर 1 plus rx है, then even in the power should be 1 upon rx. So now how do I bring that rx? So for that, let me just simply write it as यहाँ पे multiplied by r और बाहर भी multiplied by r. And once I have done that, now I can write this as limit as x tends to 0, p into 1 plus rx raised to 1 upon rx the whole raised to nr. And what am I going to get for this? What's the answer for this? Limit अगर मैं लगाऊं, if I apply the limit, look into my formula, look into the earlier formula, it becomes e, right? Over here it becomes e. So this entire expression becomes p into e raised to rn or nr. This is my future value ka formula, but this formula we are going to use p into e raised to rn for calculating future value when the compounding is how many times? When the compounding is how many times? Infinite, or I can say continuous compounding, right? So basically what we have done till now is we have seen that our future value is simply p into 1 plus r raised to n if this is compounded annually. Okay, then this becomes p into 1 plus r upon h raised to n into h if we say it is compounded h times in a year. If it is compounded h times in a year. Similarly, we say this as p into e raised to rn if it is continuously compounded. And in our further discussion with regards to the futures, even options के valuation में, continuous compounding is going to be used extensively. अच्छा, दिस एन इम्प्लीकेशन कि अगर ये फ्यूचर वैल्यू है तो इस केस में सर प्रेजेंट वैल्यू जो होगा दैट विल बी फ्यूचर वैल्यू डिवाइड बाय 1 प्लस आर रेज टू एन. यहाँ पे इट विल बी फ्यूचर वैल्यू divided by the same stuff 1 plus r upon h the whole raised to n into h, and this is going to be p is going to be future value into e raised to minus rn, because divide by e raised to rn is same as multiplying it by the negative power. Are we good till now, everyone? Yep. Okay, so we are done with the basic stuff. Now we can go ahead with the discussion on derivative instruments one after the other. So we'll take up one derivative instrument, we'll understand its mechanics fully, and then we'll go to the next derivative instrument. But before that, let's have a basic overview of all the derivative instruments in our today's session. Then uska valuation part, how do we value the futures, options, swaps, will be flowing in the subsequent lectures. Okay. Fine. Let's basically derivative instruments जो देख रहे हैं हम लोग, we are going to look at three derivatives instrument. Three derivative instruments. First one is what we call as futures and forwards. Second is going to be the options. Obviously उसमें variety of options और रहेंगे, which will definitely deal at a later point of time. And then we have swaps. Swaps maybe we have got a lot of varieties where we say it may be swaptions also, plain vanilla swap or interest rate swap, commodity swap, so on and so forth. So first let's discuss about what are the futures or forwards, and then we'll go for the options. So here we are not looking at the valuation part, we are just getting a basic idea about what these instruments are. Have you ever heard of the term futures and forwards? Ever heard of the term futures and forwards? Yes, guys? Futures and forward. Yes. So what happens in case of a forward contract? So let's first discuss about a forward contract, and then slowly and steadily we'll move on to the futures also. So forward contract. What happens in a forward contract? How many parties are required to form a forward contract? There are obviously two parties that are required to form a forward contract. Now, what is basically a forward contract? Forward contract is simply you are booking something for the future. You're simply booking something for the future. So, if you want to book something for the future, you can say that you are going to buy something in future or you're going to sell something in future. So, in forward contract, we are going to have two parties. The two parties are going to be called as a forward buyer, and other is called as forward seller. So it's going to be either a forward buyer or a forward seller. This party, forward buyer, is also called as someone who is long on forward. So long matlab samajh jana, we are talking of a forward buyer, and other will be short on forward. Short on forward. So when I say short on forward, it's the forward seller. So we have got two parties, forward buyer and forward seller. So what are these parties going to do? So these parties today, on a current date, they are going to exchange only and only promises. They're going to exchange only and only promises. So forward buyer, he says, or he simply to promises to pay, let's say rupees 20,000, and the forward seller, let's say it promises to sell maybe 1,000 kgs of, let's say, wheat, keeping it a very simple stuff. So we have got a forward buyer, forward seller today, that is on the inception of the contract. They just exchange with each other promises where the forward buyer says that he is going to pay 20,000. The forward seller says that he is going to sell 1,000 kgs of wheat. But when? Obviously, both these transactions are going to take place, let's say, after 3 months. So यहाँ पे भी इसका जो promise था, that was also after 3 months. Now, after 3 months, they are going to again meet each other and they are going to fulfill their obligation. So after 3 months, the party who is long, so right now onwards, we'll be simply calling it as long and short. The party who is long on forward, he is going to, he is going to pay rupees 20,000, and the party who is short, he is going to deliver 1,000 kgs of wheat. So fairly simple transaction, sir. It's a simple transaction between both the parties where they are agreeing with each other as to what are their respective obligations. They fulfill their obligations after 3 months and the contract is executed. As simple as that. But there are complications into this. Now, when I talk of complications, this contract price, which was fixed earlier, the contract price which was fixed earlier, uh, during initial phase, जब उन्होंने बोला that they are going to, they are just promising each other, and then later on, they came after 3 months to each other, and then they exchange their obligations or they just fulfill their duties. This seems to be a good thing, but there is definitely some amount of risk involved in it. What is the risk that is involved in this forward contract? What is the risk that is involved in this forward contract? Yes, guys. What's the risk involved in this forward contract? What, or I can say, what can go wrong? Risk of paying the money after 3 months. Okay, he might not have that much cash in hand after 3 months. क्या 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 Exactly. It is quite likely that one of the parties may default. It's quite likely that one of the parties may simply default on its part. Now, suppose after 3 months, situation ऐसा हुआ that 1 kg of wheat is worth rupees 25. If I say 1 kg of wheat is worth rupees 1 is rupees 25, uh, which party is likely to default? मतलब default मतलब he is just going underground. Which party is likely to default? Is the short party going to likely to default? Everyone agree with it? if this is a situation, because short party ने पहले agree किया था that he is going to sell 1000 kg wheat at a price of 20,000, तो per kg उसका 20 रुपया होता, per kg it is 20, but market में what he is observing, market में what is the observation is, in the market we are observing that it is 25. So if in the market it is 25, obviously he senses a really good opportunity over here, and definitely he can, you know, default on his part and just sell. He can just default on his part and you know, just sell the wheat in the market for a price of 25. So when it is 25, I'll say short party is likely to default. Short party is likely to default. This short party is, you know, more likely to default, and obviously the reason is that he is getting a better deal in the market. Okay. Situation 2, if I say, if it happens that 1 kg is worth, let's say, rupees 17, so here we say the long party is likely to default. The long party is, you know, more likely to default. So when I look at these two situations, I observe that there is always a possibility that the counterparties may default, and then it doesn't make any point कि ऐसा कुछ contract हो. So these forward contracts are also what we call it as a over the counter contract. It's a over the counter derivative contract where two parties sit in front of each other, they negotiate the price, and then the price and all the terms are decided accordingly. Okay. So how do we avoid this risk of default now? How do we avoid this risk of default? क्योंकि 3 महीने बाद अगर प्राइस चेंज हुआ तो any of the parties may default. So how do I avoid this risk of default? नहीं, ये भी लीगली होगा. This will be also a legal contract signed by both long and short parties. This will be also a legal contract. क्या क्या? ओके. उसको हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं इन एक्चुअल टर्म्स, वो डिपॉजिट जो मांगेंगे, we call that as actually a margin. We'll ask both the parties that, you know, future wheat prices we don't know what it can be, but definitely there is a fair chance that you may default. Definitely there is a fair chance that you, being a party to a forward contract, you can default. So we don't want such stuff to happen. We don't want such things to happen. So we you know, want to just avoid that aspect. So to avoid that aspect, what we want is, we'll ask both the parties to deposit margin money, and obviously with whom are they going to deposit? Are they going to deposit with each other? मतलब लॉन्ग वाला पार्टी शॉर्ट को देगा, शॉर्ट वाला लॉन्ग को देगा. Yes, yes. Not clearing house, but stock exchange हम बोल सकते हैं. So there is going to be a third party involved. मतलब instead of these two parties directly agreeing with each other, here they are directly agreeing with each other. Instead of two parties directly agreeing with each other, what we can have is, we have a third party in between. and the third party is going to moderate the entire transaction. The third party is going to moderate the entire transaction. So let's say if we have a long party on one side, short party on the other side, the long party promises to buy, the short party promises to sell. Now instead of they agreeing with each other, we have a third party, or I can say a broker or a agent in between, or let me just call it as stock exchange, बाद में बोलते हैं, but we call it as a mediator. Now this particular mediator is going to uh, arrange this contract. It is going to arrange this contract for these parties. So what he is basically going to do is simply the long party is going to take a position with that of a mediator, and short party will take a position with that of a mediator. So we can say the long party will have a contract with the mediator, and the long party promises to buy, and mediator gives a promise to the long party that he is going to sell, promises to sell, and the same mediator is going to enter into an arrangement with that of the party, where it will say the mediator is going to tell to the short party, and short party is also going to make some promise to the mediator. The short party, short party simply gives a promise to sell it, whereas the mediator gives a promise to the short party that he you know promises to buy. Now when they're promising with each other, the mediator will also ask from them, the mediator is going to also ask from both long and short parties some amount of deposit money, some amount of deposit money. Ideally in market situations, somewhere the deposit money ranges from 20 to 25%. It ranges from 20 to 25%. So the mediator is also going to ask from both of them, is going to collect from both of them margin money, and from short as well as from the long. So the money is going to be collected from both short as well as long parties, दोनों से mediator is going to collect margin money. इससे वो margin money collect करेगा. Let's say contract was valued at 20,000 in our case, तो उसका अगर 20% बोलेंगे तो margin money वो deposit करेगा 40,000, and even the short party is going to deposit a margin money of rupees 40,000. Okay, 4,000, my bad, it will be 4,000. 4,000 is going to be collected by the mediator from both the parties. Now once it has been collected, once the money has been collected, now obviously the trading happens. The trading happens on in the market for this, and this margin money collected, is it something which is collected and done? I mean, no other action will be undertaken. मतलब ये जो पैसा है, इज इट गॉन फॉर एवर? हम्म। Okay, it balances out every day. But why is it required so? Why is it required so? Changes in the value of the forward contract. Value of the forward contract को थोड़ा आगे चला गया. Before that, थोड़ा उसके पहले, if we say, long party के एंगल से देखो, he has agreed to buy it at 20,000 margin money, उसने 4,000 भरा है. If suppose the wheat price कुछ ऐसे होते हैं, 1 kg of wheat, if it is, let's say, rupees 21, 1 kg of wheat, if it is rupees 21, will the long party think of defaulting or not? Will the long party think of defaulting? No. अच्छा, अगर 1 kg, if it becomes rupees 18, will you think of defaulting? Yes? Is it the answer for everyone? I mean, is everyone saying the same answer? Is it that is going to default at a price of 1 kg of 18? Will the long party default on the forward contract if he has made a margin payment of 4,000? अगर मार्जिन पेमेंट 4,000 का हुआ है तो इज ही गोइंग टू डिफॉल्ट? He won't default because if you think about it, अगर 18 पे वो डिफॉल्ट करता है, if long party defaults, just think about it, he gains how much? Gains from market 2,000 because 20 का agreed price था, right? यहाँ पे ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में 20 का agreed price था. It was a 20 का agreed price and you know यहाँ पे 20 का agreed price था और यहाँ पे 18 हो गया प्राइस. So if it is price is 18, so we can say that कि 2 रुपए का गेन होगा अगर वो मार्केट में बेचता है, but he'll lose out on his margin money. He'll lose out on his margin money. So we can say margin money lost. Margin money lost is 4,000. Definitely he is not going to default because 2,000 का उसको वैसे भी डिफॉल्ट का फटका बैठ रहा है. Now if I say that wheat price becomes 1 kg as rupees 16, 1 kg as rupees 16, is he likely to default? क्या? Yeah. Look, in the market, if wheat is trading at 1 kg as 18 rupees और वो बोलता है कि मैं फॉरवर्ड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को कैंसिल करता हूँ, तो मीडिएटर क्या बोलेगा कि जो 4,000 तूने मार्जिन मनी भरा है उसको भूल जा. The margin money which you have deposited, just forget it because that will be forfeited. So if he defaults, he'll be losing out this 4,000, right? फिर बोलता कि अगर मैं ये डिफॉल्ट करता हूँ तो इंस्टेड ऑफ सेलिंग इट एट 20, he is going to sell it in the market at a price of 18. So 18 पे सेल करेगा तो 2,000 का उसको गेन है फ्रॉम द मार्केट, बट मार्जिन मनी जो उसने भरा था दैट विल बी टोटली लॉस्ट. So that will be 4,000 loss. So accordingly, जब उसको गेन 2,000 का है बट मार्जिन मनी जो है दैट लॉस हो जाएगा 4,000, तो इजी गोइंग टू डिफॉल्ट? Is he going to default? Can he afford to default first up? Because he'll be losing out how much net effect? what will the net effect of his default? 2000 का loss, right? So he is not at all going to default, right? So is it okay? किसने पूछा था वो question? Yeah, so we say no default. यहाँ पे भी no default. अच्छा, 1 kg equal to ₹16 जब होगा, what is your take? Is he likely to default? Can I say indifferent है? He is indifferent ना? Indifferent because if he defaults, gain from market is 4,000, whereas margin money जो lose हो जाएगा, that will be also 4,000. So net effect you say it is 0. So the net effect is 0. Now if 1 kg turns out to ₹15, is he likely to default or no? Can I say likely to default? Here the situation is that he is likely to default. He is likely to default. Now the thing is simple. He is likely to default because यहाँ पे उसको gain कितने का आ रहा है? By selling it in the market. By selling it in the market, he is gaining 5,000 because instead of 20,000, he can get uh, he can get for as 5,000, whereas margin money जो उसका forfeit हो जाएगा, that is going to be limited to just the margin money which is forfeited, that's going to be just limited to 4,000. So here 1,000 का उसको gain है, therefore we say he is likely to default. He is likely to default. Now how do I avoid this situation? How do I avoid this situation? कि अगर this still मतलब even after taking a margin money, there are fair chances that the other party may default. So how do I avoid this situation कि default करने का सर chance ही ना हो? Yes. So for उसको हम लोग मेंटेनेंस मार्जिन या फिर मार्क टू मार्केट मार्जिन बोलते हैं. We'll discuss about that in more detail. But one thing we can say that when I'm looking at the movement of the prices, I observe that जैसे जैसे प्राइस गिरते जाता है, as the price falls, who is likely to default? The party who is long. As the price falls, the party who is long is likely to default, and it will be our duty to avoid that situation that he is likely to default. तो हम लोग बोलेगा maybe something like additional margin required. Additional margin required, उसका situation एक हम लोग place कर सकते हैं. We can place the additional margin required का situation where we say when 1 kg का जो price है, where we say 1 kg का price is less than maybe 18 for long party, and we may also say when 1 kg greater than 22 for short party, because जैसा long party default कर सकता वैसा ही short party भी default कर सकता है. Just as the long party can default, similarly the short party may default. So we may set a criteria that as the price fluctuates beyond a given range, when the price fluctuates beyond a given range, we may ask both the parties, when it breaches their criteria, to deposit the margin money. Okay, and this, yeah, no, I cannot keep it at the border. I cannot keep it at the border because 16 हुआ and कल उठ के अगर वो 16 के थोड़ा भी नीचे गया तो पार्टी डिफॉल्ट करके निकल सकता है. So I will not wait till the situation that I am going to hit by it. I'm going to be hit by it. I'm not going to wait till that situation. I am going to be cautious enough. Risk management वही तो कर रहे हैं हम लोग. That I'm going to be quite cautious enough that as and when it happens that it's going to be in a riskier zone, before the loss sustains, I will simply try to close it. मतलब उसको बोलूंगा कि मार्जिन भर. अच्छा, what if he says that he is not going to deposit margin? अगर वो पार्टी जो भी लॉस बेयर कर रहा है, चाहे लॉन्ग बोलो शॉर्ट बोलो, अगर वो बोलता है कि मेरे को मार्जिन नहीं भरना है, सो व्हाट शैल वी डू एज अ मीडिएटर? व्हाट शैल, क्या करें? यस, एंटायर मार्जिन मनी विल बी फोरफिटेड, कुछ नहीं मिलेगा उसको, एंड उसके जगह पे विल फाइंड समवन एल्स इन हिज प्लेस. ओके, सो फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे इफ दिस टिपिकल लॉन्ग पार्टी, अगर ये लॉन्ग पार्टी डिफॉल्ट करना बोलता है दैट आई विल नॉट डिपॉजिट द मार्जिन मनी, तो मीडिएटर बोलेगा कि भाई तेरे पास तेरा जो 4,000 मैंने लिया था दैट इज फुल्ली फोरफिटेड, एंड इन प्लेस ऑफ दिस लॉन्ग पार्टी द मीडिएटर विल फाइंड समवन एल्स. द मीडिएटर विल फाइंड कोई और दूसरा लॉन्ग पार्टी को उसके सामने लेके आएगा जो ये प्रॉमिस करेगा कि ही इज गोइंग टू डिलीवर वीट. ओके, नाउ हाउ दैट पर्टिकुलर सेटलमेंट हैपेंस, उसका ऑक्शन वगैरह जो होता है, दैट विल सी व्हेन वी टॉक ऑफ फ्यूचर्स. तो ये जो बेसिक चीज हमने देखा, दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. हाँ बोल. बोलना. यस. यस, दे हैव टू पे एडिशनल मनी बिकॉज वो 4,000 जो तूने भरा था उसमें से नोशनली 2,000 तो खत्म हो गया ना, बिकॉज लॉस हो चुका है तेरे को उतना. तेरा चांसेस, fair chances that you may default. You need to put in additional money which will guarantee that you are not going to default further, because और default करने गया तो और नुकसान होगा. And this sort of margin deposit happens in case of our futures contract. So without margin we call that as a forward contract. और जब आपने margin का concept लेके आया, when you bring in the margin concept, that becomes a futures contract. That becomes a futures contract. Okay. Apart from that, requirement of futures contract में margins का, there are other features also futures contract में. I hope you would have heard about, like, forwards are OTC. As I told you, forwards are OTC. Futures contract जो है, these are exchange traded. Futures contract are exchange traded. So these are traded on the exchange, मतलब stock exchange में these are traded. So obviously stock exchange puts some limits or puts some criterias into their trading. If you may have futures में, if I simply talk of what's the point of difference between if I say forward and futures, तो पहला point जो मैंने बोला that is about margin. Second point, apart from margin that we have in futures as compared to forwards, is the lot size. What we have is the lot size. So when we start with the actual futures, that time I'll take you to the BSE and NSE ka website. I'll show you how different futures contracts are having lot sizes. It is not possible for you to buy a future contract for one stock, or maybe just 1 unit of stock or 5 units of stock. ऐसा नहीं, वहाँ पे it will be lot size. मतलब one future contract may be for 75 shares. So if you take two contracts, that's going to be for 150 shares. So इस तरह से वो number of shares बढ़ते जाएगा. That will be fractional. It's not going to be possible in futures and forwards. So one is the margin, other is the lot size. These are the two main features of the futures. एक और चीज इसमें futures में जो differentiate होता है from forward is the fixed maturity period. In case of stock markets, when I say futures on shares, you'll always find three future contracts. Three future contracts. तीन future contracts आपको दिखेंगे. One expiring in current month. Second contract will be expiring in next month. And third contract will be expiring in second next month. मतलब sitting today now, 16th of December 2020. So तीन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स जो तेरे को दिखेगा उसका एक्सपायरी पीरियड कभी कभी होगा. करंट मतलब वन एक्सपायरिंग इन डिसम्बर, सेकेंड विल बी एक्सपायरिंग इन जैन एंड थर्ड विल बी एक्सपायरिंग इन फेब. एंड इसमें भी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ये होता दैट ऑल ऑफ दीज, जब आप बोल रहे हो एक्सपायरिंग ऑन दिस डेज, it is always going to be expiring on last Thursday of month. तो वो टिपिकल मंथ का लास्ट थर्सडे का एक्सपायरी आपको दिखेगा. वी विल सी दैट व्हेन वी स्टार्ट विद फ्यूचर्स. तो हम लोग बीएससी के एनएससी के वेबसाइट पे जाके विल लुक एट दीज फ्यूचर्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स आल्सो, वेयर विल ऑब्जर्व दैट इट्स गोइंग टू बी द लास्ट थर्सडे ऑफ द मंथ ऑन विच आवर फ्यूचर्स और आई कैन से आवर फ्यूचर्स एंड ऑप्शंस एक्सपायर. सारे डेरिवेटिव्स के वही है, they expire on last Thursday of the month. Okay, so I hope futures and forwards ka beech ka basic difference as well as the structure of the contract, is it clear to you everyone? Is it okay? Yep. Yeah. No, there's no intermediary. Yeah, there's just a contract between two parties. Like for example, a company, tomato ketchup manufacturing company may enter into a forward contract with a farmer. There'll be just one-to-one contract. There won't be any third party involved. और थर्ड पार्टी जब इन्वॉल्व होता है, दैट थर्ड पार्टी मीडिएटर जो है, दैट इज सिंपली द स्टॉक एक्सचेंज. ओके, you can customize it ना. Forward contracts are customizable. Like futures, हर एक का फ्यूचर स्टॉक एक्सचेंज पे मिलेगा जरूरी नहीं ना. एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्ट्स यू विल हैव टू एंटर इनटू फॉरवर्ड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, बिकॉज वो फार्मर थोड़ी फ्यूचर्स में मतलब स्टॉक एक्सचेंज पे आके करेगा. मोर ओवर वहाँ पे लॉट साइज होता. In case of futures, we have the lot sizes. So it may be like for every 1 quintal of tomato, you will have a future contract. You won't have a future contract for fractions. Like अगर आपको 500 kgs चाहिए या फिर 600 kgs चाहिए, तो that is not possible in case of a futures contract. Moreover, जिस डेट पे आपका एक्सपायरी है या डिलीवरी है, वो in case of forwards and futures, that is a fixed thing. In case of forwards and in case of futures, that is a fixed thing. As I told you ना, ये वाला केस, they always have this expiring in current next or second next month. अगर that too also expiring on the last Thursday. तो अगर तुझे मंथ के बीच में चाहिए या फिर 6 महीने वाला कॉन्ट्रैक्ट चाहिए या फिर 1 साल वाला कॉन्ट्रैक्ट चाहिए, you won't find it in futures market. So both of them are having their own advantages, disadvantages. Are we good? In stock markets, it is for 3 months. In stock markets, it is for maximum 3 months. 3 months मतलब 3 months भी नहीं होगा. Like if you reach till December end, so that will be like virtually like 2 months इतना ही होगा. Even if you are at the December end, you'll still find the old, the longest contract available is Feb end. ये जैन शुरू होगा तो मार्च का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ट्रेडिंग शुरू होगा. Is it okay? Okay. Then let's quickly look at the other contract called as the options, which is going to be a major portion of our discussion in the entire syllabus. So when I say options, we have got two types of options. One is a call option and other is a put option. So what are these two options? Let's quickly look at them. So call options and put options. So call option, we say uh, call option is simply a contract that gives holder, the person who is having the contract, who is having the call option, that gives the holder right but not obligation, contract that gives the holder right but not obligation to buy, right but not obligation to buy an underlying. Put option is again the similar contract that gives holder, right but not obligation to sell an underlying. Now, what are these things? Call and put option, buy and sell and underlying. तो उसके लिए we need to understand, in options contract there are going to be again two parties. The parties are called as holder and writer. Holder and writer. Now holder, as we say, holder is having a right to buy but not an obligation. Now what do we mean by right but not an obligation? Let's say holder is having, or writer has given a power to the holder to buy a particular stock for, let's say, 1000 rupees. Now on maturity, if the market price per share becomes, let's say, 1200, on maturity the market price becomes, let's say, 1200, and he has agreed, or he is having a right to buy at 1000 rupees. Tell me, will the holder buy the stock from the writer or from the market? अगर वो राइटर से खरीदता है तो he will buy it at 1000. अगर वो मार्केट से खरीदता है तो he will buy at 1200. So from where is he going to buy the stock? Writer, right? So if it is 1200, he is going to buy it from the writer, or I can say he is going to exercise his call. He's going to exercise his call. Now when I say exercise his call, it means he is going to call the writer and ask him to deliver the stock for a price of 1000. Now if it happens that market price per share, it turns out to be 900. Now where is he going to buy the stock? Is he going to buy the stock from the writer, of the contract at a price of 1000, or from the market at a price of 900? Market. Can I say, is he exercising the option or is he lapsing the option? Is he exercising the option? Lapsing, right? So he simply lapses the option. अच्छा बताओ, ऐसा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अगर हुआ, सो ऑलवेज फॉर द होल्डर और राइटर, दोनों में से हमेशा बेनिफिशियल किसके लिए होगा? दिस इज गोइंग टू बी बेनिफिशियल ऑलवेज फॉर whom? होल्डर, राइट? इट इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी बेनिफिशियल फॉर द होल्डर, बिकॉज वो एक्सरसाइज करेगा, उसको गेन है तो ही एक्सरसाइज करेगा. तो बोलो कोई भी एक कॉमन सेंस वाला आदमी, will he ever like to become a writer? Will he ever like to become a writer? No. So he's never going to become a writer, or I can say he's not going to be. Huh. Holder is having a right to buy stock from the writer. Writer is a person who has given an undertaking to the holder that on maturity, the holder can buy stock from the writer at a price of 1000 rupees. ठीक है, तो अभी at a price of 1000 rupees है. Market में if you observe that MPS is 1200, the same stock is trading on maturity at a price of 1200. So जो holder जो है, who is holding that call option, who is having that power to buy from the writer at a price of 1000, will he buy from the writer at a price of 1000, or will he go to the market and buy it at 1200? Hmm? Writer, right? So he is having that option, huh? So he will buy it from the writer. Now suppose if it is a case that market price is 900, so is the holder going to come to the writer and buy the stock at 1000 rupees? Is he going to come to the writer and buy the stock at price of 1000 rupees? No. Where is he going to buy from? From the market. तो इजी यूटिलाइजिंग हिज ऑप्शन, मतलब जो राइटर ने उसको ऑप्शन दिया था कि तू मेरे से 1000 रुपए में स्टॉक खरीद सकता है, इजी एक्सरसाइजिंग दैट ऑप्शन और इजी लैप्सिंग दैट ऑप्शन? he is lapsing it, right? So holder is, can I say, always having a right to buy at a price which is beneficial for him, right? Okay, so obviously any rational person will never ever like to become a writer. So can I say similar contract कुछ insurance में भी होता है. Insurance contracts में the insurance company writes the insurance contract for you, you sign it, you are the holder of the insurance contract, and you have a right to claim the money from the insurance company on happening of some uncertain event, or on happening of something unfavorable event. So you have a right to demand money from the insurance company. So insurance company आपको जो ये right देता है कि tomorrow if something unfavorable happens to you, you come to us, we will rectify it. So that particular uh, option which the insurance company is giving you, or the right that insurance company is giving you, is the insurance company giving you free of cost? Is the insurance company giving you this option free of cost? You have to pay some premium, and exactly same thing happens over here. The holder is going to pay some premium to the writer, because in this contract, who is undertaking the risk? The holder or the writer? Who is undertaking? The writer is undertaking the risk, because it's the writer who has promised that he's going to give the shares for a fixed price, and tomorrow if the price is not in his favor, he's going to lose. And in that aspect, we say that the requirement is the holder needs to pay a premium to the writer. And in call option, the holder, यहाँ पे when we talked of holder, the holder over here is a call option. The holder was having a right to buy. Similar thing is going to happen in case of put option. Here also there are going to be two parties, the holder and the writer, but the difference is that they are having different rights now. So holder and writer. So holder is going to have a right, and holder is supposed to pay a premium also. Now here the holder is having a right to sell at a strike price of, let's say, 1000. So if on maturity, if the market price is, let's say, 1200, as a holder you think, as a holder of this option, of this put option, you think, would you like to sell the stock? Would you like to sell the stock in the market for 1200, or to the writer at a price of 1000? Which one will you prefer? In the market, right? So in the market, because 1200. So are you exercising or lapsing it? You are lapsing it. So you say the holder will simply lapse the contract, because beneficial for him is to sell it in the market. Then the other round, if I say that the market price is, let's say, 800. If the market price is, let's say, 800, so now tell me, as a holder of a option, you are having a right to sell at a price of 1000 to the writer, or you can sell it in the market at a price of 800. Which one will you prefer? Which one will you prefer? Selling it to the writer, or I can say here you're actually exercising it, right? So this is the call option and a put option, where the power is in the hands of the holder. Remember, writer is just the person who has taken a premium. Writer is the insurance company. You are the insured person who is holding that insurance contract, that in case the price is not in my favor, I'll come to the writer and take it, take the delivery of the underlying at the appropriate price. Is it fine, everyone? So options, we have got this call and put options. Uh, so with this, we have covered a bit of basics of futures, forwards, and options, call options and put options. इसके बारे में further discussion we'll have it in our next lectures. Okay. The video of this session will be available on my YouTube channel. You can access it. So probably by next week, the video will be up on the YouTube channel. Okay, guys. So let's stop here for the day. See you in the next class.